and nerd, and I may be one, I'm told. The Dark Matter Renegades is a podcast featuring a crew of blurs that all talk all things nerdy like science fiction, comics, anime, and music. Joining us here on The Factor Uncensored is Kirsten Meadow, Derek Pittman, Roxy Hayes, Rakesh Jacob, Will Piro, and Jonathan Gwynn. And I've known you the longest.
I know it. That's
so let's start, Jonathan. What is a blurred, and how do you know if you're one?
A blurred is exactly what you said. It's a black nerd, someone who loves nerdy things, and you find that you're a person of color, not necessarily specifically black, but a person of color who loves nerd stuff that traditionally isn't considered part of your culture that you would like, but you love it anyway. And that's become a thing that for the longest time was sort of, you were weird if you were a blurred, but now it's coming to its own. Blurred culture is now like how nerd culture took over jock culture. Blurred culture is coming to its own right now.
Let's bring one of our guests in here. Kirsten, I talked to you Saturday, and you said it was difficult growing up as a black nerd. Why?
Because I wasn't into the same things my friends were into. A lot of my friends were into like gangster rap, and I was into maybe like punk rock music, and now there's a lot of music that crosses over, so it's a little easier now, but when I was in high school, not so much.
Let's bring Will into this conversation also. How would you define a black nerd as well?
I would define a black nerd as someone who basically goes unidentified, who is misunderstood, who's very intelligent and just crying out to be found and understood for who they are.
Rakesh, why start this movement?
Well, I mean, the movement already started. We started a show called, Black Matter Renegades, which features all these lovely people here. And the whole thing is just to kind of bring more and more acceptance and normalize it, because I think we've went through this phase where everybody was playing dumb to be cool. And now it's just we had to get back to being smart, being intelligent. We can't do stuff like believe in a flat earth and not believe in climate change and not believe in vaccines. We got to get the intelligent stuff back, And sci-fi has always been something that represented the human condition and told these great, amazing stories, and fantasy as well. And this is just a really cool way to get all that into a movement and just support it and support being smart again.
And Derek, I talked to you this weekend, and you said you always felt different.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, going back to my school experience, I mean, being a nerd can be like with music as well, as you mentioned. So like I was the only black kid in the high school choir. So we were singing musicals and things like that, but I still felt good doing it. And I felt like I needed to take a stand, even though I might have been from a neighborhood that was predominantly black. I might have gotten teased on the bus. I was also on the football team. Might have gotten teased on the football team too. But it was a lot of, it was empowering to be able to just have my own identity and not necessarily be just like everybody else.
And Roxy, how does this help those who may be blurs out there, black nerds?
I would say, like, kind of piggybacking on what she said before, it kind of creates like a community. You feel like you belong. I would say the same thing. Like growing up, a lot of us were bullied and taunted and teased, and it just feels bad to feel like you're an outsider. So like kind of just piggyback basically on what everybody said, feeling like you belong, bringing intelligence back to the forefront, and just making it cool to be smart and be different.
Do you still feel any of that as an adult?
Not really, not so much anymore. Like I go to a lot of cons. There's one called BlurredCon that's exclusively for people of color, and just to go out and see thousands of people that look like you doing what you do is an amazing feeling.
When you add the word black to it, are you separating yourself though?
No, I don't feel that at all. Blurred, we say blurred because we're black and we're nerds. But like I said, anyone could be a blurred, and it's not exclusive at all. In fact, one of the reasons why we want this is we want all nerds who might have a question about, like one thing that's great about being a blurred and finding other blurreds was you were able to connect in that community in a way you couldn't with other people who were nerds. But with this podcast, we're hoping that those other people who always felt as an outsider for blurred can now be a part of this and understand where we were coming from.
And Rakesh, really quick, tell us about the podcast, where we can find it and where we can see it.
So Dark Matter Renegades at Dark Matter Rens, Dark Matter RENS. It's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. Blurred Unite. We'll be back with more after this. We're going to be a superstar.
Inspiration, so you're gonna see you can't replace him with cheap imitations of these generations. Hardcore, do you want more? Cook Brooklyn boy.